Hello, I'm Dr. Ted Farris from the University of North Texas, co-author of the Innovative Distribution Company case that I wrote with Dr. Ela Manouge, who's also on the faculty with me here at North Texas. This is a Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals case. The premise of the case is that it can actually be completed live in an 80-minute classroom. Dr. Cliff DeFee at Auburn University and I collaborated to extend this classroom experience throughout the world. To date, over 1,100 students from 18 universities have participated. The case is all about quantifying the total landed costs of the supply chain. In fact, 3 supply chains: US to US, Germany to US, and China to US. So you ultimately can decide which alternative has the lowest total landed cost. Each 4-person group consists of students from at least 3 universities throughout the world. Your group will have less than 2 weeks to deliver a solution and present it electronically to a displaced faculty judge, also somewhere elsewhere in the world. Each version of the case is identical, except for different numbers. In 1/3 of the case, the correct answer is China to the US. 1/3 of the cases, the correct answer is Germany to the US, and the final third will be the US to US supply chain. Now, there are 3 common deliverables in the exercise that all students will have to complete: questions in the case, peer evaluation, and post-exercise survey. Now, some faculty members may have other deliverables, such as a reflections paper. You'll need to check with your own faculty member to see if that's the case. Now, you're going to receive your case by email. On the first page of the case will be your group member contact emails and a supporting website URL. At the bottom of the case is a case version identifier that you should use in any correspondence. At the end of the case, there are 13 questions. The first 10 questions guide you through quantifying the decision, which is reported in question number 11. There are 2 additional non-quantitative questions. Now, as an author of case studies, I realize that there's always something missing in a case. More information that you'd like to consider, it's just not there. While the first 11 questions require you to use only the information contained in the case, the last 2 questions ask you to identify additional risks which should be considered. And since this case is all about quantifying risk, you're asked to provide 2 realistic measures that enable you to quantify these additional risks. The final question asks that you recommend improvements to the supply chain process that will also reduce total landed costs. My recommendation: you only have 15 minutes to present your answers. Don't spend a lot of time presenting the first 11 answers. Use the table that's provided in the case to efficiently report your answers to the judge. You can also download this table via the website. Focus most of your time on answering the open-ended questions and make sure that you quantify your answers. Don't be surprised if a judge asks you to quantify how can these additional proposed risks change your answer to number 11. Stronger answers are strongly supported with numbers. After your presentation, you'll need to submit your zero-sum peer grading sheet. In the zero-sum scheme, you must rank the performance of your team members, including yourself. Only one team member can receive the highest score, and one team member must receive the lowest score. No team members of the team can receive the same score. Let's take a look at some of the samples from the supporting website. The URL will be listed on the first page of the case. When the case is active, it will be updated every 6 to 8 hours. Any questions and their corresponding answers will be posted on the website. And also, the website contains timetables of events and due dates. The website is also used as a vehicle for your team to sign up for presentation times. Here's an example of the web page after some student groups have committed to a time slot. Faculty judges have allocated 15-minute time slots to view presentations. The assignment of these time slots are on a first-come, first-served basis. As soon as your group decides a time when every team member can be present, be sure to send in the request for that particular time slot. Once assigned, your group will receive a confirmatory email and the web page will reflect this. Now make sure you check the web page before you submit your requests, as the time slots do fill quickly. I recommend signing up early to get the preferred time slot. And remember, all team members must be present during the presentation. Now, other recommendations that will make your case experience great. First, connect with your team members early. The exercise spans many time zones, so you'll find communication is slower than when you have a face-to-face group. Waiting until late in the exercise will be very problematic. You must also establish the best means of communicating for your group. Historically, we've found that groups use a variety of differing methods. Find what works best for you. Final presentations will use a specific communications tool, such as Adobe Connect, though this may vary from semester to semester. Don't wait until your final presentation to practice using this tool. Other recommendations. Project management works wonders. Consider using your basic project management techniques to divide up the work, and don't have only one person determine the numbers. Challenge, how did you get the number? It promotes a lot of agreement and a lot of understanding about the case. Finally, check the website daily for updates. Now let's take a look at the basic premise behind the case and look at an example. The case is all about your ability to quantify risk. An example of risk that can be quantified is a risk of piracy. As shown on the map, there are certain areas in the world where the risk of piracy is high. Historically, the number of piracy attacks each year continues to grow. If we're shipping through a high-risk area, how do we quantify this risk of piracy? We could look at the additional cost of insurance, which increases in cost as the risk increases. Or we could avoid the area altogether and reroute at a cost of adding more miles and time to our route. This option can also be quantified. So even a risk such as piracy can be quantified and factored into the cost equation. We also recognize global trade helps us potentially reduce cost. Countries offering different wage rates and lower unit prices due to their comparative advantage. These benefits come with a trade-off: longer transit times with more uncertainty, fluctuating exchange rates, disruptive weather, communication issues, and tariffs and duties. But all of these can be quantified. Within the case, you'll quantify some of these differences in terms of inventory and its related carrying costs. When you use EOQ to determine the ordering quantities, you'll find that they differ for each supply chain, since each supply chain offers different variables. The same holds for safety stock. The greater the uncertainty or the length of the supply chain, the higher the safety stock levels, thus your inventory costs will differ. And don't forget to map your supply chain, since the cost of your product will change as it progresses through the entire supply chain. So that's an overview of the Innovative Distribution Company case. It's a basic case, but faced with the reality of trying to solve it with a team with a variety of skills from a variety of countries scattered throughout the world. Welcome to the reality of business. When this concept is presented to industry professionals, it's well received because it takes the classroom experience to another level. Best of luck in your experience.